Hello everyone and welcome to the Triad Pro-Am Summer League 2014. We're just after the tip here on game number 2, on court number 2 of the first day of action here at the Pro-Am Summer League. We see Jackson Kent, number 20, with a deep outside shot to open up the scoring. And we are watching Peters Company Wealth Management in the home white taking on Grace Clifton Tisdale in the dark blue away jerseys. Whit Holcombe-Faye with the ball right now. Drives to the free throw line. Shot's no good. Kishon Bishop with the rebound. He pushes it up to Keith Jackson, number 33, and that's a quick 5-0 lead for Peters Company Wealth Management. But still a lot to go here, and that's a turnaround shot by Wakefield Ellison to get Grace Clifton Tisdale in the scoring book. Wakefield Ellison out of East Carolina University. The feed inside from Keith Jackson to Bishop, and that's going to be a turnover. And under the basket, we've got Greg McClinton, currently a player at Wake Forest, inbounding to Whit Holcombe-Faye. He's going to walk the ball up. Just under a minute to play here. I am Marcus Shockley with Netcast Sports. And we are settling in for the second game here. Features several players you probably heard of, including Vassil Evtimov, who just fed the ball inside to Kishon Bishop. Feed inside. Kishon Bishop is the organizer of the Triad Pro-Am Summer League, but he also plays for his home country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is in the Caribbean. He plays with his national team. Feed inside by Bishop, and that shot is good. So Kishon Bishop puts his team up by 5 early here in the second game. There's Greg McClinton of Wake Forest. Back out to Whit Holcombe-Faye. Over to number 4, Joshua Hicks. Hicks fakes to his right, goes left, and finds a cutting Wakefield Ellison. And the ball ends out with Walter Baxley. And Baxley's shot is good from deep outside. Feed up to Zach Jenkins. His shot is no good. He tried to catch the defense in transition, but wasn't able to do so. Now we find Holcombe-Faye going the other way, and he finds Baxter again. Shot's no good. Ball rims out. Looks like it's going to stay on this end of the floor. 17:33 left to play here at the Triad Pro-Am. Opening night, Joshua Hicks, outside shot, and that shot is good. And he puts his team up by 1 with that three-pointer. So quickly erasing that early lead by Peters Company Wealth Management. Feed inside, and that shot is good. So we got a little back and forth scoring here early in the game. Once again, I'm Marcus Shockley. You're watching Netcast Sports, the Triad Pro-Am. There's Greg McClinton. He's a high-flying player, and he just beats Vassil Evtimov on the baseline. Two-hand dunk, puts it back. I know a lot of Wake Forest fans are happy to see that. Now here's Jackson Kent, deep outside shot. Jackson Kent currently playing at James Madison University. And we have Wakefield Ellison with the ball. He lost it, then split the two defenders and found Greg McClinton in transition. Gets it back to Joshua Hicks. Hicks shot no good. Rebound by Keith Jackson. He's going to keep it and give it up to Jackson Kent. Jackson Kent up, under, no good. And he's going to draw the foul. So close action here in the first 4 minutes of the game. Now, if you're not familiar with Pro-Am or Summer League ball, normally there is a running clock. So even though Jackson Kent is on the foul line, that's why the clock isn't stopped. Now, normally under 2 minutes, you'll see the clock stop. So that should be the case here today. But right now, clock won't be stopped until then. So they try to keep these games managed. And so, of course, these guys aren't wanting to be on the free throw line too much while the clock is running. But second shot for Kent is good. And Jackson Kent playing, he's a rising sophomore at James Madison University, played in 31 games this year. Feed inside there to Greg McClinton. McClinton went to Winston-Salem Prep here in the Winston-Salem area. And now will be playing for Wake Forest. Shows that high-flying athleticism that a lot of Wake Forest fans are eager to see. Now, drive by Zach Jenkins, and his shot no good, but it looks like he's able to draw the foul. And he will also be going to the line. Zach Jenkins, number 3, on the line. First shot is good. Once again, this is a running clock. Triad Pro-Am. For those fans in the area of Wake Forest or Winston-Salem State or UNC or any of the area schools and you'd like to come down and see some of these players, you're more than welcome to come down. These games will be played throughout July on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The last week of July will be playoffs and championship games. Whit Holcombe-Faye going the other way, and he gets a little payback on Zach Jenkins, and Holcombe-Faye with the bucket, and he's going to have the opportunity for an end one. So Whit Holcombe-Faye at the line. His team now up by one with a chance to stretch that lead. Shot is good for Whit Holcombe-Faye. So here's Kishon Bishop. Bishop driving, feed inside. There's a call, and that is going to be a jump ball. And looks like that's going to amount to a turnover, as Grace Clifton Tisdale will get the ball, and Whit Holcombe-Faye will be inbounding. And we've got another turnover. I'm not sure if that was a 3-second call or what have you, but the result is the same. So here's Kishon Bishop inbounding to Jackson Kent. And he's working against Walter Baxley. Kent inside feed to Vassil Evtimov. That's going to send Vassil Evtimov to the line. As I mentioned earlier, those UNC fans from the area will probably recognize Evtimov from his days playing for the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and the Tar Heels. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he played on 2 Final Four teams while he was there at UNC. Mostly did get quite a bit of minutes. I'm not sure if he was a starter, but he played quite a bit and played on 2 Final Four teams. So I'm sure if I'm incorrect about that, someone will correct me, but I believe that's the case. And you can see him sporting some Carolina blue Nikes tonight. Jackson Kent from the outside, the rising sophomore, James Madison University, with another 3-pointer. Now we've got a shot by Michael Grace in the game. Michael Grace, who played his college ball at Yale University. Battle inside for the rebound. Grace comes up with it. Feeding, looking ahead for Walter Baxter, and nice idea, but looked like the ball just got away from Grace and passes errant out of bounds, and looks like we've got another substitution. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's Colton Bishop coming in, number 15, who's not on the roster. Bishop, who will be playing at Loyola, Maryland this year. Over to Jackson Kent. Now back to Keith Jackson. Jackson spins, turns, hook shot. And that's good, but I don't know if he got the shot off before the foul. It doesn't look like it. So it's going to be an inbound play. Once again, Peters Company Wealth Management is in the white. Grace Clifton Tisdale in the dark blue. Kishon Bishop. Feed inside to Keith Jackson. So now Peters Company Wealth Management with a 3-point lead. 11:18 to play. Feed inside. Battle, no good. Ball is knocked around. Looks like Wakefield Ellison comes up with it, and he's going to get himself to the line. Wakefield Ellison, who plays at East Carolina University. Triad Pro-Am has been running here several years. I believe this is the first year they've had it at this specific facility. But the whole point of these Pro-Ams is for teams who are not playing in like the Vegas Summer Leagues, things like that, looking to get as much high-level competition as they can. Feed inside to Brent Peters, number 40, from Kishon Bishop. Once again, here's Whit Holcombe-Faye running the point. Drives on Jackson Kent, feeds it back to Mike Grace. Now spin move and inside, and that's going to put. Well, I guess I missed a call. I'm not sure what it was, but the result is that maybe he stepped on the line. Kishon Bishop is waiting to see when he can inbound the ball. We've got Some substitutions, I believe. The referees are trying to straighten this out right now. And here we go. 20-18. Peters Company Wealth Management up by 2. That's going to be a kicked ball. Once again, you're watching the Triad Pro-Am 2014 here on Netcast Sports. Kishon Bishop inside. Try to go behind his back. Loses the ball. Mike Grace comes up with it. Feeds it up to Wakefield Ellison. Ellison gets his own rebound. Puts it back up and in. And that ties the game at 20. So 9 minutes left to play. All knotted up at 20. Now Zach Jenkins bringing the ball up. He waits for Colton Bishop to come up, and then when Colton Bishop comes up to take the ball, Zach Jenkins takes off inside. Now here's Mike Grace working against Colton Bishop. Over the top to Greg McClinton. And Greg McClinton is going to be going to the line. And Greg McClinton, a lot of people are at Wake Forest are anxious to see what he can do this year. Has been battling injuries the past couple of years. Did have some issues with his ACL, but he is an explosive, long player who can play multiple positions. Definitely a wing. There's Colton Bishop. Brent Peters. And now home team whipping the ball around. It sort of looked like the away team had dropped back into a bit of a zone. There's Mike Grace directing traffic. Grace, who played at Mount Tabor High School and then went on to play at Yale University. And his high school team, who along with C.J. Harris, who just graduated from Wake Forest, won the state title while they were there at Mount Tabor. Inside, Zach Jenkins with a nice little circus acrobatic finish inside. Changed hands in midair. Put his team up by 1. There's a foul. And one thing you have to note about this game, there are several solid point guards, experienced point guards, Whit Holcombe-Faye, Mike Grace, Zach Jenkins. Deep outside shot by Wakefield Ellison. And that puts Grace, Clifton, Tisdale up by 2. And we've got another stoppage here. The referee's whistle. Still with that running clock. Not under 2 minutes yet. Zach Jenkins looking to narrow that gap. I'm not sure what was called there. But we've got another call on the other end here. And Whit Holcombe-Faye under the basket to inbound. He goes over the top. Now with Mike Grace, he feeds it inside to Greg McClinton. Greg McClinton with a nice little post move. McClinton just seems to have a lot of bounce tonight. Looks active. He's always had great hands in the fluid game. Four-point lead now for Grace, Clifton, Tisdale. Here in the first half, 5:42 left to play in the first half. Triad Pro-Am 2014. This is game number 2 on court 2. And the Triad Pro-Am runs all through July, as do most of the summer league games. Past players who have played in this event include Chris Paul, Josh Howard, Rayshawn Terry of UNC, several others. Not as much seating in this arena as has Normally this is played at, in the past this is played at Forsyth Country Day School. Tonight's game is happening at the Gateway YWCA. That's where the games are happening this year. Joshua Hicks shot no good. Now here's Kishon Bishop. Bishop feeding up to Vassil Evtimov. Back to Bishop. Bishop stops, gets it to Zach Jenkins. To Peters. Back to Bishop. Evtimov known for his passing in the post there. That cuts the lead to 2. Here's Mike Grace. Working against Zach Jenkins. Grace over the top. Nice looking shot. Looked like he was trying to drive. Got Jenkins out of position and just shot over the top, and that extends the lead to 5. Peters finds a cutting Jackson Kent. Kent shot off the side of the rim. Going the other way. Here's Grace. Stops. Feeds it inside to Joshua Hicks. And Hicks scores. Now we're back to that open game transition we had earlier, and there's Bishop to Zach Jenkins. 4 minutes left to go here in the first half. Mike Grace, open 3, no good. Kishon Bishop with the rebound. Up to Vassil Evtimov. Evtimov is calling for the foul. He might have a point, but we're going the other way. And really nifty little move there by Mike Grace. A little fake and then misdirection and then took off under the basket. Craftiness from the experienced point guard. Here's Bishop. Bishop spins, shoots from the elbow. That shot is good. His team's down by 5. And we have a timeout on the floor. The teams want to talk it over. So once again, you're watching the Triad Pro-Am Summer League. I am Marcus Shockley of Netcast Sports Network. Tonight's game is brought to you by Triad Pro-Am and Blue Chip Basketball Academy, organized by Kishon Bishop, who is playing in tonight's game. But the entire league runs through the month of July. You can watch the replay of this and the other games on netcastsports.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at netcastsports. Netcast Sports, we cover a lot of AAU in the spring and the summer. This summer we'll have more AAU action. You can see some of the AAU games we've had so far. Rebound by Evtimov and pushes it up to Jackson Kent. And we do have more AAU coming for July, and then we'll be going into probably some of the fall leagues around the area and then into the high school season. So please stay tuned. And I do apologize. I believe we lost our clock for just a moment, but we've got it back now. Our scoreboard. And that is correct. So I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that we're back at speed here. Grace, Clifton, Tisdale in the away dark blue jerseys, up by 2. Here's Whit Holcombe-Faye once again running the point. Gets it out to Walter Baxley. Baxley inside. And, looks like we had a call. So that's going to give Peters Company Wealth Management a chance to tie this game. Now they're down by 2. Here's Jackson Kent. Back over to Zach Jenkins. Over to Colton Bishop. And ultimately back to Jenkins and Vassil Evtimov. And that's going to send Vassil Evtimov back to the line wearing those Carolina blue Nikes, harkening back to his days playing for the Tar Heels here in the state of North Carolina. I guess the shade of blue that they consider the correct color would depend on if you're a UNC fan or a Duke fan. Here in Winston-Salem, a lot of the area fans would be Wake Forest fans because they were from the area, but plenty of Duke and UNC and NC State fans also in the area. Most of those would be familiar with Vassil Evtimov. Here's Whit Holcombe-Faye. Now he's directing traffic. It looks like they got a pick there from Wakefield Ellison. Feed inside, and they're really getting the ball out. And here's Wakefield Ellison. His shot's short. Frustrated with that shot, but they're going the other way. His team's still up by 1. Now we're down to 1:30 left. Zach Jenkins is going to walk the ball up. Mike Grace is going to pick him up at half court, and now he's going to step out on Colton Bishop. Into the corner to Jackson Kent. Over to Bishop. And right now, home team just trying to find some entry, and they don't need it. There goes Jackson Kent with that deep shot that he's shown. And that puts his team up by 2 with under a minute to play. Here's Wakefield Ellison. Now back to Grace. Grace's shot off the front of the rim. Rebound by Greg McClinton. And a score inside by Mike Grace. We're about to wrap up the first half here. Vassil Evtimov able to show excellent hands. Grabbing that ball, it was loose, batted around, and put it up and in. And his team's still down by 2. I'm sorry, his team is up by 2. Scoreboard was switched up there for a second. So now it looks like Grace Clifton Tisdale is going to wait, hold the ball for 1 shot. 15 seconds left to play. Whit Holcombe-Faye working against Colton Bishop. Pick from Wakefield Ellison. Holcombe-Faye drives, fakes. Evtimov is there, so he gets it outside to Walter Baxley, and that shot is good, a 3-pointer. That puts them up by 1 as the buzzer goes, and that's how it's going to wrap up for the first half. So 40-39 in favor of Grace Clifton Tisdale, and we'll be back after this. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the second half here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for the Triad Pro-Am 2014. I am Marcus Shockley with Netcast Sports Network, and you are watching Game 2 on Court 2 on opening night here at the Triad Pro-Am. We are just about to get underway. And if you're just joining us, you're watching Peters Company Wealth Management, and they're wearing the home whites, going against Grace Clifton Tisdale in the away jerseys. Those are the sponsors of the 2 teams tonight. And right now, Grace Clifton Tisdale with a 1-point lead over Peters Company Wealth Management. And there's Vassil Evtimov battling inside, trying to get the shot up, and looked like he might have drawn the foul. He kind of asking the referee about that, but it doesn't really matter. His team is keeping the ball. Inbound to Zach Jenkins. Jenkins' shot is off the front of the rim there, or the side of the rim. Going the other way. Once again, I'm Marcus Shockley with Netcast Sports Network. You can follow us on Twitter at Netcast Sports, and I hope you will. And we'll get into more later about Netcast Sports and where you can watch some of the replays. But right now, once again, we're watching. Here's Whit Holcombe-Faye running the point. Ran the point for Grace Clifton Tisdale for most of the first half. Picks up right where he left off. And now there's Wakefield Ellison, number 68. Wakefield Ellison, who played at East Carolina University. And got that mid-range game working early here in the second half. Vassil Evtimov inside to Zach Jenkins. Finds a cutting Kishon Bishop. And the ball drifts out of bounds. We're going back the other way. So here, once again, here's Whit Holcombe-Faye running the point. And he's going to tried to find a cutting Walter Baxley, but that was broken up. And looks like it's going to stay with Grace Clifton Tisdale under the basket. Out to Wakefield Ellison. Shot rims out. Vassil Evtimov able to corral that rebound. Looked like Kishon Bishop was almost able to save it, but not quite. So the game is still tight here. Under 18 to play. 42-39. Grace Clifton Tisdale with the lead. There's an outside shot by Greg McClinton. That's no good. Evtimov wanted to launch that pass, but thought better of it. Gives it up to Jackson Kent, rising sophomore at James Madison University. Jackson Kent. Over to Zach Jenkins. Jenkins handling most of the point guard duties here tonight for Peters Company Wealth Management. Down to Kent. Ball slapped away by Greg McClinton under the basket. Now, nice touch pass there by McClinton. Gets it up to Walter Baxley, and that's going to be a finish for Baxley. Joshua Hicks to inbound. Lead is only 2 now. Under 17. Whit Holcombe-Faye with the ball. Just easily finds his way into the lane there, but there's a turnover. Now once again, here's Jackson Kent. Pushes the ball up to Kishon Bishop over the top, and that is going to be a blocking foul, I believe, and that will send Kishon Bishop to the line. As I believe I mentioned in the first half, Kishon Bishop is currently playing with his national team at St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is a Caribbean nation. And I apologize to Kishon if I'm incorrect about the location, but I believe that is north of Grenada and just south of St. Lucia. So right in that Caribbean area that so many people like to visit. It's so beautiful, playing with his national team. So Kishon, if you're watching, I apologize if I've gotten that location incorrect, but Kishon Bishop playing with his national team this summer. Here's Joshua Hicks driving with the running floater, and that bounces around the rim and good for Joshua Hicks. And now we're going the other way. Jackson Kent working against Whit Holcombe-Faye. Kent feeds Vassil Evtimov inside. Evtimov up and under and good for the big man, Vassil Evtimov. That cuts the lead to 1. Holcombe-Faye now working against Jackson Kent. Nice little move to his left for Holcombe-Faye. And he's going to draw the foul. So another chance here for Holcombe-Faye with the and 1. Now with his team up by 1. Holcombe-Faye, an excellent free throw shooter. Really solid point guard. I've been watching Holcombe-Faye for several years here at the Triad Pro-Am. He's definitely one of, if not the most experienced point guards playing here, at least tonight. And a lot of good point guards, as I said, a lot of good point guards in tonight's game. Holcombe-Faye definitely a solid, mature guard, knows how to run the team, and an excellent free throw shooter. And puts his team up by 4 with under 15 left to go. Now here's Kishon Bishop. Deep outside shot, that's no good. And I think that might be called out of bounds. Couldn't quite tell. Looked like it bounced off some of the apparatus there above the rim. So still a 4-point lead. 14 and a half left to go. Grace Clifton Tisdale with the lead in the away dark blue jersey. Running clock, as I said before, running clock in the Summer League games, as is the case most of the country. I think around the 2-minute mark they will stop the clock for free throws, that sort of thing. But now Jackson Kent with the ball. Over the top to Vassil Evtimov. Evtimov collapsed. 3 guys on him now, 2. Gets out of trouble there. Gets it outside to, well, ultimately gets it to Jackson Kent, and he hits the 3. Keeping close there. Kent's 3-point shooting now. Cuts that lead to 3. Now here's Whit Holcombe-Faye. Calling for the pick. Gets it over to Mike Grace. Grace, a very quick point guard. Played his college ball at Yale. And we've got dueling 3-pointers here. Colton Bishop in the game. Gets it back out to Jackson Kent. Jackson Kent really looking solid with that 3-point shot tonight. Was always a good 3-point shooter in high school. Looks like his shot has improved a lot. As I said, he got in 31 games this year at James Madison University. Got a lot of playing time. Double-digit scorer in several games as a freshman, so no doubt we'll see even more from him during his sophomore campaign. But right now, once again, Whit Holcombe-Faye at the line, once again trying to push that lead out. And it's kind of an advantage if you can get to the line and score here with a running clock, which is also common in AAU Summer League, summer travel basketball for people who are familiar with that. You're basically eating time away while putting points all over the board. It's sort of the opposite of what you would see normally in organized basketball, where you can get, if you're the defending team and you're behind, you can at least stop the clock with a foul. Here, that's actually advantageous to the leading team to stop to get to the foul line because not only do they get points if they can hit them, the clock keeps running. So right now up by 5. Grace Clifton Tisdale. Deep outside shot by Baxley, and that's good. It's hard to, he was wide open, but he was way behind that 3-point line. So right now, Peters Company Wealth Management has got to come up with some buckets to try to keep this from getting too far out of hand. Evtimov finds Jackson Kent. He wanted to go inside, he didn't have a cutter. Here's Brent Peters. He's going to pull it out, working against Greg McClinton of Wake Forest now. Peters over to Jackson Kent, and he's going to throw the ball away. Up to McClinton and dump from McClinton. He's looked really good tonight. Really agile, explosive. See some of that explosiveness. And we've got a change up on the floor. Once again, you're watching Triad Pro-Am here, 2014 opening night from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I am Marcus Shopley with Netcast Sports Network. And you can follow us on Twitter at Netcast Sports. Keep up with the latest games. And I encourage you to go to netcastsports.com where you can watch replays of this and AAU games and other semi-pro, high school games, college games. And I really encourage you to sign up for that mailing list on netcastsports.com where you can be notified of events as they're coming up. It's not really an advertising list. It's more just to be notified of the broadcasts as they're coming out there, so you don't have to wonder, hey, I hope there's something out there I want to watch. You know, you could just be in the know. Here's Kishon Bishop with a nice little up and under move, and I believe he's going to be going back to the line. So Kishon Bishop, the organizer of this year's Triad Pro-Am, once again putting his team on the line, trying to cut into that lead a little bit. But once again, go to netcastsports.com, sign up for that mailing list, get on the notification list, and you can be in the know about whenever we do a broadcast, both live events and replay events. And really, it allows you to keep up with some of the best area broadcasting without a lot of effort. So right now, we've got 10 minutes left to play here in the second half. And I know that the scoreboard says period 1, but that's not correct. It's actually the second half, I assure you. Got some fouls here, so I don't know if there's a benefit to this for the team that's trailing. They get to keep the ball, but without getting points, they really want to run some offense here. Jackson Kent under the basket trying to find position. Gets it out to Brent Peters, back into Kent. He's working his Holcombe-Faye. He's got that size advantage and uses it over his shoulder, over the top of this smaller guard, Holcombe-Faye. Now here's Mike Grace. And it finds Chad Hicks, and the ball is out of bounds, but I believe it's going to stay with Grace Clifton Tisdale. Hicks to inbound, goes to Wakefield Ellison, and Ellison showing off that mid-range game once again. So any of the old school ballers out there who are always telling me how there's no mid-range game, I want you to pay attention to what Wakefield Ellison is doing. He's hit several of those mid-range games. He's showing just drained it from the elbow at least 3 or 4 times tonight. Here's Grace. Grace really quick, spinning, moves up over the top. Ball is just off the back of the rim and in for Mike Grace. Now here's Kishon Bishop. Bishop had 2 defenders. One steps back, and there's a jump ball under the basket. So Brent Peters getting in there and forcing the jump ball, and we're going the other way. And Brent Peters showing a little soccer action. And we've got World Cup action going on tonight, or this week, in Brazil, which may be not the case if you're watching this after tonight, but Brent Peters showing a little soccer move with the basketball now. Whit Holcombe-Faye inbounding the ball. Gets it back to Greg McClinton. You see Greg McClinton wearing that brace on his right leg. Suffered an ACL injury, but has looked really, really good tonight. And really had that above the rim play that we like to see from him. Wanting to see from him. Wake Forest fans wanting to see from him. Holcombe-Faye stepping off, and he's going to take a seat on the bench as Walter Baxley comes back in. And there's Baxley with the rebound, working with the shot outside. Works against Colton Bishop. Over to Mike Grace. Grace working against Zach Jenkins. And Grace, very quick, wants to drive. Gets up and under, and there is a foul on the floor, and I believe that's going to be against Zach Jenkins. So 7 minutes, under 7 minutes left to play. Clock still hasn't stopped yet. And there's Greg McClinton. Just a nice move by Greg McClinton. One-handed, quick, fluid, hard to stop, almost indefensible. McClinton's little shot is up and good. And on the offensive end, at least, Greg McClinton has really looked fluid. Has that length and just showing some of that agility that made him such a highly sought-after recruit as a high school senior. There's Walter Baxley working with Jackson Kent. Two guys really lit it up for outside today. That shot's no good for Baxley, and Keith Jackson with the rebound. Pushes it up to Zach Jenkins. Jenkins over the top, tried to find Kishon Bishop. Wasn't able to finish it, but Bishop keeps the ball, gets it out to Jackson Kent. Once again, Jackson Kent with the outside shot. That Jackson Kent's shot has looked fantastic all night. He was always a solid shooter, even in high school, but looks like he's improved. One of the reasons he was able to get so much playing time his freshman year at James Madison. Mike Grace out to Chad Hicks. Now Kishon Bishop. Spin move in transition. Up, under, and no good for Kishon Bishop. Going the other way. Here's Chad Hicks. Now we've got some open court to Mike Grace. And Mike Grace once again off the basket. I mean, off the back of the backboard there. Good shot. Zach Jenkins driving to the right. And off the foot for Zach Jenkins. And he doesn't look happy about that at all. Mike Grace behind the back. Gets it up to Walter Baxley, and there's a foul on the floor. Mike Grace, some crafty moves in transition. Taking advantage of the turnover. Vassil Evtimov coming back in for Peters Company Wealth Management. With Joshua Hicks working with Colton Bishop. Hicks shot no good. Now we're going the other way with Keith Jackson over, and he throws the ball away. Over the top to Greg McClinton, and that's a dunk from Greg McClinton. Showing some of that action, and he grabs his knee, and that's worrisome. So it looks like, hopefully that's just an adjustment of his brace. I know that I suffered an ACL injury myself, and having to wear a brace, you often have to keep it in place, so hopefully he hasn't tweaked it. It looks like he's moving around pretty well. Well, there you go. He's got an open court steal, so he looks okay. And wasn't able to finish it, going back the other way. There's Bishop, Kishon Bishop with the finishing side. That's the lead to 10. Mike Grace over the top, rebound to Colton Bishop. He loses the ball. Wakefield Ellison over to Grace. Deep out to Walter Baxley, and you cannot leave Walter Baxley open like that. And over on the bench, that's exactly what Chad Hicks says to somebody else over there. Is you can't leave him open. There's Jackson Kent up under. Got a foul on the floor. That's going to be an inbounds play. Here's Jackson Kent. And clock becoming a factor here. Actually, it's been a factor for the past couple of minutes with this kind of lead, 13 points and a running clock. The one thing that Peters Company Wealth Management really needs at this point is buckets, and that is not what they needed. Ball's out, going the other way, 13 points down with just over 3 minutes left to play. We will get somewhere around 2 minutes. We'll start getting that stoppage of clock. But at this point, and here's Whit Holcombe-Faye walking the ball up. Very smart play. Wants to cut down the number of possessions at this point. With 3 minutes left to play, Whit Holcombe-Faye knows you don't want to give the other team any more possessions than you can. You don't want to cut down on the number of times that they can cut into that lead. And we've got a foul on the floor. And I don't I see the clock is stopped. I don't think that's correct. I may be wrong. I'm trying to flag down somebody here, see if I can get their attention. I'm too far away I'm not involved with the scorers table, but I'm trying to get someone's attention to see if I'm wrong. I think that that's not supposed to stop until after 2 minutes, so. And I apologize. I think I lost the scoreboard for a minute. So I'm being told that the clock is not supposed to stop until after 2 minutes, or at least that's our understanding. So I think that was a mistake there, which benefits Peters Company Wealth Management. Might not matter at this point with this lead. I guess we'll see in just a few minutes. So if I'm gesturing to someone again, I'm sorry, I apologize to the audience. I'm trying to find out if they're going to stop the clock here at 2 minutes, and I believe they have. So I think that stoppage of clock earlier was incorrect. So at this point, pretty sizable lead with Grace, Clifton, Tisdale. Under 2 minutes left to go. Peters Company Wealth Management really just needs buckets. Vassil Evtimov shot's no good. Whit Holcombe-Faye with the rebound gets it up to Mike Grace. Now Grace is going to walk it up. Gets it over to Greg McClinton. They're just wanting to play a modified version of the four corners is what I would call this, but maybe in the Winston-Salem area that wouldn't go over very well, so they wouldn't call it that. We'll just call it a bit of stall ball here. Grace's shot no good. McClinton's putback no good. Rebound. There's Baxley. Gets it to McClinton. And McClinton with a little putback. So almost a minute to go. Rebound there by McClinton. Gets it up to Grace. He wants to go over the top to McClinton, and that's no good. And really wanted the alley-oop there, but errant shot. So under a minute to go. 18-point lead here. Holcombe-Faye wisely holding up the ball. Then he's going to slice through, gets it up to Walter Baxley, and that's going to stretch the lead out to 20. So there's really not much at this point that Peters Company Wealth Management can do. Evtimov, Vassil Evtimov scores. He cuts it back to 18, and right now we're just kind of waiting this one out. Not much to do. It looks like Grace, Clifton, Tisdale is going to go away with the win here on opening night, and I appreciate everyone joining us. Once again, you have been watching the Triad Pro-Am 2014 opening night from Court 2, Game 2, between Peters Company Wealth Management and Grace, Clifton, Tisdale. Follow us on Twitter at Netcast Sports. I have been Marcus Shockley, and you can follow me on Twitter at M_Shockley if you so choose. But that's going to do it. So 86-65 in favor of Grace, Clifton, Tisdale. That's going to wrap it up, and I appreciate everyone joining us. Thanks a lot.